you guys remember Danny Rand, the Iron Fist? Well, Marvel doesn't. They kind of just left him in the dust. I think he's one of their coolest characters, one of their more unique characters, and they kind of just forgot all about him. They tried to pivot from Danny Rand to make a new Iron Fist, fell flat horribly, no one cared, and they haven't really done anything since with Iron Fist. They kind of just left him in the dust after his Netflix show failed, and then this sort of trying to revamp with a new Iron Fist that's not Danny Rand. The character has just fell flat, and no one at Marvel seems to care or has put in any effort. So today, I wanted to go over what's happened with Iron Fist. In case you were at one time interested in the character or a fan, you haven't bothered to keep up, I'm going to be talking about what happened to him, what's going on, why he ain't really around no more. So, without further ado, let's get into it. The last time Iron Fist had an ongoing series was in 2017 from Ed Brisson. It didn't go on for very long, but it ended strongly. I enjoyed the end of that series. I enjoyed that end arc. It was pretty cool. You had this demonic casino run by Mephisto and some of his boys. You had an Iron Fist in there that was fighting in a tournament for his soul. It was 24 opponents in 24 hours. If he wins, he gets his soul. If not, he gets condemned to hell forever. And the Iron Fist wasn't Danny Rand. It was Orson Randall. And it was really cool because Orson Randall was one of my favorite parts of the Ed Brubaker Matt Fraction run on Iron Fist. Orson Randall was such a cool character in that. He died, and here we see that he's fighting for his soul. And it's very interesting. And also during this arc, Danny was having a bit of a crisis. He didn't really know what he wanted to do with his life and what was going on. He was kind of like, everything I do, someone always dies for me. This kind of sucks. I don't really like what's going on. He was very insecure at this moment. He was having a bit of an identity crisis. And here he sees one of his mentors, a guy that he really loved, going through this. And he's like, oh, crap. I don't like the position that Orson's in. And Orson doesn't like the position he's in. When they catch up, Orson tells him about what he agreed to. He made a deal with Mephisto, and he's like, Mephisto is the devil, so who knows if this deal's even real. And he talks about the reason he's doing this is because when he did die, he went to hell, and it was the worst thing ever. It was so bad. He's like, I can't go back. I can't go back. He sounds like one of those dudes, when they get out of prison, they're like, I won't go back, man. That's how Orson sounded. He's like, I'll do anything. Because Danny's like, this tournament sucks, because when he gets there, Orson's like halfway through the tournament and he's just suffering. He's not doing so hot. He's won every single fight, but he's struggling. And Danny's just like, why would you do this? And Orson's just like, you don't understand how bad it is. I will do anything to get out of there. So he goes through the tournament. He's winning. He's getting beat up, but he is winning because Orson is a badass. But still, fighting in this like Kumite, one opponent every hour during this tournament, it's rough. It's taking a toll on him. He's not getting out clean. And he gets to where he has like 12 opponents left, and the opponent is revealed to be Danny Rand's sister. His half-sister. Danny's not exactly stoked about that either, so he makes a deal with a demon to where him, Fat Cobra, and Orson and his sister and all of them will fight for their souls, including Fat Cobra's mother, to get out of there. Their souls to get out of that hell casino and actually get back to the real world and be okay. And he makes that deal with this Dan, but for the flip side of that is the few of them have to fight all 12 remaining demons at once. So he makes this deal, and he gets in there and he crashes the tournament right before Orson is about to beat the tar out of his sister. His sister's still a good fighter and all that, but Orson is, he's Orson. So he's about to just smite her with the Iron Fist when Danny comes in and is like, hey, hold up, I made this deal. And Orson's like, you dumbass, don't make a deal with the demons. I made it because I was stuck and I had no choice, but you weren't. You didn't have to do this. But Danny, again, like we saw towards the beginning of this arc where he's like, everyone's always making sacrifices for me and I don't feel too good about that. I want to help. So he jumps in. They're fighting. They're struggling. They take out a few demons, but then there's some left and it's not looking too good. And then Orson does the ultimate sacrifice and he sacrifices himself for Danny. And it's rough. It was a heroic moment, and I like seeing that from Orson, because Orson was always like the sort of like, he was not the greatest. I mean, he was an Iron Fist that went to hell, so that shows he's not the greatest guy. They even talk about that earlier, where they're like, some guys, went to heaven, they're all right, but Orson didn't. Orson was an Iron Fist, and he went to hell because he is always on the rougher side. So for him to go out with a super heroic moment, sacrificing his soul, even though he had already seen how horrible hell is, but he did all this so that way Danny and his sister and all of them didn't get condemned, is a real nice moment. It was very nice for Orson to go out on a heroic note there. So Orson sacrificed himself to reunite Danny and his sister, so Danny has some family, shows how much he cared about Danny. and it's a really nice moment. And then the series ends with Danny just really realizing who he is as a person. And I'll just read this final page for you because it really shows Danny's head space at the end of the series. He says, I have friends relying on me, and like Orson Randall, I laid down my own life to ensure the safety of theirs. I'd allow myself to become filled with doubt about my place, my role. I'd lost touch with my chi, my identity, but no longer. I am Daniel Rand, the Iron Fist, a living weapon, a champion of Kunlun, and it feels great to be back. What a great way to end the series. Too bad right after this he gives up being the Iron Fist almost immediately. Once he shows up in a series again, he just gives up being the Iron Fist. So we learned nothing from this. But in a vacuum, what a great way to end the series. It was nice. It's like, that's Danny Rand. That's cool. He went through a little arc where he became filled with self-doubt, didn't know what was going on, but then he realized who he was and learned from his friends. It was really cool. It was nice. It was sweet. Then we get the Larry Hama miniseries. Larry Hama's a legend, done a lot of cool stuff with comics, with G.I. Joe, with Wolverine, but he's an older man now. I don't really think he has it in him to write an Iron Fist story, and he proved it. He wrote a horrific Iron Fist mini where Okoye from Black Panther is pretty much the main character, even though the title is Iron Fist's name in the title, not Okoye. So at the end, Okoye defeats a dragon, and then she goes and she fights the big bad guy, and Danny gives her the Iron Fist because she should have the Iron Fist for some reason, apparently, instead of writing it to her. Danny's the guy that fights the big bad. No, she is. So he gives her the power of the Iron Fist, so she's got all this chi and everything, and she defeats the big bad, while Danny is relegated to fighting just like some goons, just some lower level guys, holding them off, hoping that Okoye defeats the big bad, and then she does, and at the end she's like, hey Danny, I'm going to give you the powers of the Iron Fist back, and Danny's like, no, I was never very good at being the Iron Fist, so nah, he's like, that's not how it works, and I was never good at being the Iron Fist anyways, and it's like, but at the end of his last series, he had come to terms with the fact that he is the Iron Fist, and he is good at being the Iron Fist, and he deserves this. He had gotten rid of that self-doubt, but now he's like, nah, I was never actually very good at being the Iron Fist. Okoye, you take it. And then Okoye's like, yeah, but I don't really want to be the Iron Fist. So she transfers it to like this dragon egg that then will become, Shao-Lao the Undying and all that. So that way, no one's the Iron Fist. But that kind of just ruins Danny's arc from the last series, because now he's back to being filled with self-doubt and being like, I'm not good at being the Iron Fist. Like, this is so dumb. Then we get a Iron Fist miniseries about the new Iron Fist, who is Lin Lie, who was known as Swordmaster before. Now he's the Iron Fist. And he doesn't go through the trials or having to fight Shao-Lao and take his heart or anything like that. He just gets gifted it. Shao-Lao chose him. And throughout the book, it's insinuated that Danny's kind of like the white colonizer type that stole Shao-Lao's powers, stole the Iron Fist, while Lin Lie is someone from Kunlun and was chosen to be the Iron Fist. And it's kind of just so dumb to do this. To be like, it's like, because there's a part of the book where they're talking about where they're like, several others have stolen the power of the Iron Fist, but you were chosen to act like it's bad to go through this, to kill Shao-Lao and get the power of the Iron Fist, act like it was so bad, and it's so dumb. It's so stupid. Be like, but Lin Lie, he was chosen. And yeah, he just goes through a whole ordeal. Danny's only a part of like the first part of it, and then like the end, he's not really a big part of the miniseries. There's not much in there. At the end, Danny says they need their Iron Fist, and that's you, to Lin Lie. So again, Danny being like, I'm not the Iron Fist, you are. Because again, we're just completely disregarding what he went through at the end of his last ongoing series, where he realized he is Iron Fist and he's supposed to be Iron Fist, and he got rid of that doubt. But now he's like, no, you're the Iron Fist, Lin Lie, who again was Swordmaster, so he doesn't really need to be Iron Fist, but they chose him. So that's where we're at with Iron Fist, as far as I know. I don't think we've gotten any solo stuff since then. He might have shown up in some like other books, but I don't know. I don't read everything Marvel. I just went back and read the Iron Fist stuff that I could find. And this is where I believe we're at Iron Fist. Danny Rand doesn't have the power of Iron Fist. I believe Lin Lie is still it. He's the Iron Fist and Marvel rivals. So that seems to be a good indicator that he'll be Iron Fist for a while to come. Now, why are we here? There's a couple reasons. One is the Netflix show utterly failed, which, I mean, the writers were really bad. They didn't understand Iron Fist at all. They didn't get the character, what makes him work. And also the casting. I thought the casting for Iron Fist was terrible. The guy they cast was not who they should have got to play Danny Rand. He was not good at that role. And 2, the whole racism debate with Iron Fist, because like a white guy that knows martial arts, that can't happen. Only Chinese people know martial arts, says the non-racist. It's insane. It's the same problem with Snake Eyes, where it's like in the Snake Eyes movie they cast an Asian guy because they're like, we can't have a white guy knowing martial arts. That's not. But it's so weird. It's like being racist to defeat racism, because like saying that only Asian people know martial arts seems kind of racist. But I don't understand. It's really weird. But that's a big problem, is people see Danny Rand being racist. That's why in this latest one, they got an Asian guy to be Iron Fist, and they had an Asian writer write it, because it's the problem with comics where it's like, if you don't look like the character you're writing, then you shouldn't write him. That was the thing with Christopher Priest, where he didn't write comics for a long time until DC went up to him and asked if he wanted to write Deathstroke, because he's like, every single time they would ask me who I wanted to write, or they would come to me with a book to write, it was always black character. And that's why Christopher Priest turned down Marvel for so long, because every time they'd be like, hey, you want to write this black character or this black character? And then when DC came along with Deathstroke, he's like, finally, I'll write this. This sounds interesting, because they kept pigeonholing him, because like, you're black, you can only write black characters. And that's kind of what happened with Iron Fist in that last series, where it's like, Iron Fist, Kun Lun, it has to be an Asian person. And Iron Fist has to be Asian himself. And that's part of the problem, where it's like, you guys are pigeonholing yourself. No. Anyone can write anything, assuming they're talented. But it doesn't matter what you look like. You can write whatever comic. I think it's stupid. And that's a part of the Iron Fist story, is him being an outsider, him being a white blonde guy going to Kun Lun. It's a big part of the story. But no, the Iron Fist is racist. And so it's really stupid. Also, another problem that Iron Fist has is that not every single story has to deal with Kun Lun. We can get him just going around New York fighting people. Not everything has to be a martial arts tournament or deal with Kun Lun. That's another problem, is every time a writer gets on Iron Fist, it's like, I'm going to do a Kun Lun story, and there's going to be a martial arts tournament. It's like, no, you can do something different. Like, some of those are really cool. I like those stories, but we don't need to retread it. We don't need to constantly do it every single time. Let's do something a little different, something outside the box, something a little different. There's so many different villains you could see him go against that could be cool. But instead, it's always the same thing over and over, and that's kind of annoying. But anyways, who knows when Danny Rand... we're going to have to get someone at Marvel who's, like, got some pull, that's a big fan of the character. That's the only way he gets out of this hellhole he's at. Because right now, especially with Lin Lie being Iron Fist and Marvel rivals, Danny Rand's just in purgatory, which sucks, because he's a really cool character. And there's a lot of cool stories you could tell with him. But, yeah, until we get, like, maybe some superstar writer at Marvel that's like, hey, I really want to do a Danny Rand book, it's not going to happen. Or some, like, editor who's like, hey, we should do a Danny Rand book. It's not going to happen. But anyways, I just want to do a video on Iron Fist because I think he's really cool and he's been neglected by Marvel and it's sad. So, yeah, read the, if you haven't, read the Ed Brubaker, Matt Fraction, David Aja, Immortal Iron Fist. It's really good. You can it's like all in an epic collection. It's really easy to read and it's really good. So, yeah, anyways. Thank you so much for listening. Please let me know in the comments below. What do you think of Iron Fist? What do you think's going on with him? I want to hear from you guys. And hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see y'all later.
Hey, skinny boy, saucy boy, I be running to the bank. Yeah, I hit the gas in the whip full tank. Riding past the ocean while I'm listening to Frank.